Okay, so the first thing I wanted to talk about were two events that I went through as a student in school, and events that nevertheless I still think about today because I think they truly shaped me into the person I am even today. So the first one happened in kindergarten, and as silly as this one is gonna sound, it truly sticks with me, and not in I think the best way. So I remember in kindergarten, the entire school, we were all put into a gym to watch the Muppet movie. I really don't even remember why. It was just because I think it was like an end of year school event. And I remember the teacher announcing that, telling the students, like, make sure you use the bathroom because we won't let you go whenever the movie starts playing. And, me being me, I'm like, well, I don't need the bathroom. I just don't, so I didn't think it applied to me. So guess what? Like, halfway through the movie, I realized, oh my God, I really need the bathroom. And then I walk up to the teacher. I'm like in my little school uniform, and I'm like, ma'am, I really need the bathroom, like it's an emergency. And she tells me, and she looks at me and she says, you should have used it at the beginning of the movie. Go sit down. And so I have to do the walk of shame back to my spot. And mind you, we're all like sardined into this gym, and it is like so crowded, and I have to sit back down. And when you need the bathroom and you're not being allowed to use the bathroom, guess what? You're gonna use the bathroom. And so I use the bathroom, and then I have to do the walk of shame to this teacher, to this, like, I have so many words for this teacher, but I'm gonna try to be the bigger person. But I walked to this teacher and I said I had an accident because I needed the bathroom. And this teacher pulls everybody's attention on me. And she makes an example of me, and she stated to all of my classmates, this is what happens when you don't use the bathroom. And I'm sitting there in my pants that are currently soaked, looking at the ground in shame while everybody's staring at me, and this teacher keeps on talking. And then finally, I'm allowed to go to the nurse's office to get a change of clothes. And I remember that day forever and ever and ever, because that wasn't okay. And it was just like, why would you do that to a child? And I'm not saying that I was like, I was still learning to control my bladder. I was 5. I had just turned 5. And it just makes me upset to think about that. That teacher genuinely thought that would have been okay. But no, that's the first one. Okay, so the second one actually happened when I was in 5th grade. The second story time takes place in 5th grade. So I remember having a vocab test in English class, and this 5th grade English teacher, I swear, hated me. Like, that's the only explanation for what she did to me. But basically, there's this like quiz coming up, this vocab quiz, and she's so confident in everybody's ability to pass this quiz that she states that if anybody fails, they'll be staying inside for recess, and they'll be reading their book. Well, me being me, I had never failed a quiz before, ever, and least of all her class. And so I am genuinely, like, these words to me are hard. It's booklet, it's pamphlet, it's recipe, and to me, they all sounded the same, and I felt like they were all for the same thing. They're not, spoiler alert. But I get the quiz, and I start filling these answers in, and I hand her back my quiz, and I have like the biggest gut feeling that, oh my God, I failed that quiz. And I'm just sitting there waiting for her to hand back these papers. Guess what? She doesn't hand them out. She starts grading them at her desk. But what happens is that I am just sitting there, sitting with a pit of doom in my stomach, and she yells my name out in front of the entire class. And I know what happened. I already know. She doesn't have to tell me anything. And I look up and I'm like, ma'am, I'm scared. I'm like so scared. I'm already like bawling before it even begins, because I had never failed a quiz. So if anything, I was disappointed in myself. And she made it worse. She yelled at me in front of the entire class, told me to come to her desk. And at this point, everybody's eyes on me, and I'm doing this walk to her desk. And she says, I'm very disappointed in you. And I look down, and obviously, you know, I didn't pass. And I remember her drawing a sad face and drawing tears, and she says, go fix it. And I go fix it, and you know what is worse? I didn't learn anything about it, because I missed 2 out of the 4, and all you had to do was switch it in the word bank. And so to this day, I don't know why I got it wrong, and I would have really liked a teacher that would have pulled me aside and helped me instead of making me a complete fool in front of the class. And I wouldn't have minded if she had pulled me aside and in private and told me, hey, like, this isn't your best work, I'm disappointed, you know, like, what happened? And I would have explained to her what was confusing, but she didn't even give me that opportunity. She instead thought it was a better idea to completely call me out in front of the class. And guess what? I ended up reading, you know, during recess and whatever, and I was just so upset. And then guess what? The next week we had another quiz, except this one was actually like really hard apparently, and like half the class failed it, and I was one that actually passed it. And guess what? Of course she didn't call people out on it because, you know, like half the class failed it. But I remember this one student asking, hey, did I fail? And she said yes, but it's okay. Why couldn't she have said that to me? Like, I get so like defensive because what made me so different to the, like, yes, it was a different quiz, and was the past one like probably easier for most, yes, but that doesn't give you an excuse to like act one way towards a student. I saw all of this, and I was at her desk watching this all unfold. Well, I just remember the fact that she completely yelled at me. And I know that there are some students out there that were in my class that would vouch for me, because that was not right. And I remember, and I wasn't the only one that failed that quiz before, but I was the only one she called out. And I know that I wasn't the only one that failed because I was reading in that classroom with several other people that had failed. Not a lot, but more than one. And so those are my 2 story times on why I think some school systems really... okay, I'm not taking it out on the entire school system. I think where I went to school was actually helped me in a lot of ways. But I just think about those moments, and I just like, I have so much hatred for their actions, not towards them, but why would you do that? So, yeah, those are my 2 story times. Thank you for watching. Oh, and wait. Can you guys let me know if like this is a normal thing for teachers to do? Like, please, because I tried to talk to people about it. I tried to talk to some adults about it, and they let me think that it was normal, or that one even said, you know, sometimes you can't be upset on how the teacher gives you your grade, like for the one like getting called out. I don't care about the grade. Yes, I was upset about it. I don't care how she gives me the grade. She didn't have to completely like tear me down. That's just it. And if she was going to tear me down, I shouldn't have been the only one, because I felt targeted. But yeah, if you guys would let me know y'all's thoughts, that would be much appreciated. Thank you for watching.